All right, Andy, I'm coming to you live from
Live.
the great state of Washington. You know, Andy, I've been out here four times now,
Yeah.
and every time I'm out here, I've seen something different about this state.
Yeah.
Just makes me wonder, like, marvel at the amazingness of this country.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
just like the beauty, like so. We're visiting mostly just south of Tacoma,
Yeah.
but every time we've been out here, we've been to the Pacific coast. We've been up to Victoria, British Columbia. God bless the Canadians because that city is amazing.
We'll come
You
back to
know,
that. We'll come back to that.
yeah, we went out to the eastern part of the state and went to like where there's like barren wasteland. It feels like we've been up to the mountains in Leavenworth, and this time I'm up here in the along the Sound and along some of the islands. I can't remember all the names of them. I'm sure Dave Clark, our loyal listener, will send me a note later. But we're in a seafaring town, like a shipping town
Yeah.
and a fishing town. And like it's just like this state is amazing and all the things that it offers. And it's just so beautiful,
It
but
is.
yet so different than what we know in Virginia and North Carolina. It's just I love this country, Andy.
And no, you're right on. It is this country and every corner of this country is just a marvel to take in and celebrate. I'm so glad I got to do that around this 4th of July holiday, Dave. And you shared a picture of beautiful Mount Tacoma. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's just such a sight. But you just touched on something. I just want to pause and recognize you mentioned Canada, Dave. On July 3rd, I was not expecting to be getting excited about Bryan Adams, famous Canadian singer for decades, right? But on July 3rd, as the Canadians got eliminated from the World Cup, as Mexico just got eliminated from the World Cup in an incredible match, as the U.S. may get eliminated tonight, but celebrating Canada with a new song on July 3rd called 51st State, where he just pushes back in beautiful melody on the idea of Canada ever being a part of the United States. And it was just such a good song, such a good rejection of the bullshit coming out of Washington, D.C. I was like, hey, it might, as we celebrate our independence, like let us celebrate Canadian independence as well. Great song. And our Canadian neighbors are great. Washington State is absolutely beautiful. I got to be there earlier this year and similarly just marveled. I was like, this is just amazing, amazing. Yeah. So I'm glad you get to take that in.
Yeah, it truly is. I thought you were going to say he's getting ready to go on tour. If that was the case, Andy, I would be like, you and I need to hit that concert.
He is on tour. I think he is presently on tour. We can look into
Oh,
that. We can look
oh,
into
we
that.
should look, we should
Yeah.
definitely look into that. Summer of '69 is still one of my all-time
Oh,
favorite songs.
classic.
I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure. For
just
sure.
when that goes off. So, Andy, you kind of mentioned it. Let's go into it. Let's start off this podcast with talk of the World Cup
Oh my
because
gosh.
it is fucking insane. It
Yeah.
has been amazing. And look, I know this is a momentary high. It's like after the Olympics. After every Olympics, everyone goes, "Oh, I'm now going to watch downhill skiing because I
Yeah,
love it." Or
yeah.
curling, this other stuff. And 2 months later, nothing changes. But I do just love this type of stuff, and I've been watching because the games have been amazing. You mentioned the Canada Morocco game,
Yeah.
like that was just an amazing game, and Morocco just took it to the
Yeah.
Canadians, and like they that is an impressive and dangerous team. France needs to watch out for them
Yeah.
this when they play next. But then there was the Mexico England game. There was Brazil losing to the Norwegians in their
Yeah.
rowing committee, But that England Mexico game yesterday was awesome.
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, a, a 100 seconds, 2 goals. Unbelievable. I mean, Mexico's been
Unbelievable.
so formidable in that stadium and seemingly had a lot of local advantages to do well, even though England is probably the better team, but to go and win there is going to be a challenge. And to take the lead, to go in there 3-2, to play man down for the last, I think, 30
40
minutes
minutes or
of the match.
something.
Yeah, like just an awesome match, a great victory for England, who I think needed a really significant win. And I think this was one because Mexico's been playing really good soccer. But now two of the three host nations eliminated. It's wild. That's wild. But I mean, we're setting up. You mentioned Morocco, Egypt also advancing,
Each,
right?
yeah.
But Morocco is definitely they are a very legitimate club, and look, beating France is a tall order. Kylian Mbappe and France just look like they're going to win the tournament, but like Morocco really wants to beat France. Like they really
Yeah.
want to beat, and if they can do it, they're going to find a way to do it. And we've seen some surprise wins in this tournament. Nothing is impossible, man.
Nothing is impossible. And we kind of like poo-pooed the African, Middle Eastern countries in this whole thing,
Yeah,
but woo, I tell you what, they've been
coming on
like
hot.
they've been on fire with a lot, and even the games that they've lost in this knockout range round have been really competitive and really
Yeah,
good. So it'll be very interesting to see what's as we go forward. And we're recording this on Monday, so today, Andy, the United States will face Belgium.
yeah,
Andy, the game is already in controversy.
yeah. And already tainted. No matter anything the president of the United States of America touches, instantly corrupted. Instantly fucking corrupted. The US could have played this match and look, probably not going to win, but maybe could win. Like maybe could win. And now, because the president reached out to his friend at FIFA, a red card gets waived for the first time, I think, since 1962 or something like that. Like, this does not happen. This is not acceptable. The Belgians are on fire, like protesting this move. But the president calls in a favor. U.S. player gets reinstated for the match. So no matter what happens, if the U.S. wins, no matter how far the U.S. goes, now there's going to be an asterisk next to the victory saying, well, basically you cheated. Like you shouldn't have been allowed to play this player, no matter what. Even if he doesn't score a goal, it does. Like the game is tainted because Donald Trump had to get his short, stubby fingers involved. Not necessary. Really sucks. Really sucks for the U.S. team now because it can't be a clean victory. If they beat Belgium, it can't be considered a clean victory. And what a win it will be if they beat Belgium.
Yeah, and look, let's just be like the call in question. We mentioned it last when we talked. It was a questionable call.
Yeah.
Like there it's in it, and it is what it was. And the United States played brilliantly without him, with being a 10 man. They
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
scored a goal on that, much like England did yesterday. But they scored a goal man down. And now, but a rule is a rule.
Yeah.
And yes, there is this fluff language in the FIFA rules that allow these type of things. But let's just be real. Donald Trump called the president. It got changed. That's all that anyone needs to matter.
Yeah.
And, who knows what the president said or implied, even if he didn't directly say overturn it. Let's see what we've committed ourselves to here. Are we going
Yeah.
to be all of a sudden giving FIFA tons of money? Have we signed up for something that nobody else wanted? Kind of bullshit.
And
And you're right.
even if we hadn't, we would be furious if
Oh,
any
of
other
course.
country, I mean, if any other country did this,
Yes.
imagine if Iran did this, right? Imagine if Iran protested, called in a favor and got a play reset. Imagine if going into this match, it was flipped the other way and Belgium had a play. Like we would be up in arms. But here we are, one of the three host nations calling in this favor. It just, again, it just takes away from, like, everybody knows FIFA's corrupt as hell. Right, but the game itself is played on the field. This just takes away from the U.S. team can do. Really sucks. Really sucks. But look, that aside, I mean,
The most corrupt president in history,
yeah,
with the most corrupt, one of the most corrupt international organizations in
yeah,
history. Yeah,
yeah,
a marriage made in heaven, Ed.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But let it not take away from the beauty of the game because
Yeah,
there's still some great matches coming up in this round right now. And the next round is going to be even more amazing. This plays out the next, roughly, I think, basically the next week. You've got the
yeah,
next round
yeah.
coming, and there's going to be some incredible matches.
Spain, Portugal is the other game today.
Yeah,
So
huge.
He's already said he's not going to play again. Like he's not had a good tournament. Let's
Yeah,
just be
yeah,
real. Unlike Messi, who's had like just killing it still, which will probably be his last tournament as well. But unless he's like a reserve or something like that. So that's the other game, and the winner of the Spain, Portugal, and U.S. Belgium game will face off each other, like you said, a couple days later, I think on the
yeah,
10th or something.
yeah.
So, Okay, so a lot of World Cup going on. I also love the, the solving soccer or football's problems. The Americans who watch for like 5 minutes every year, like are going to come in and go, what I don't really like? I don't like that stoppage time. And like, why can't they just keep a clock correctly or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
And like, it was kind of funny because we were watching that England-Mexico game yesterday, and 90 minutes is the end of the game, or until you get how many extra minutes. And usually it's like 5 or 6 minutes or something.
yeah,
Yesterday, England, a man down, had 11 minutes
yeah.
more to go. And then at the 11-minute mark, there was still like another minute or so. And you're like, wait a second, when are they going to? And Mexico is pummeling them with these corner kicks. And it was just like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, but wild game for sure. So,
And that's mentally challenging, right? Because I mean,
oh
you know how
yeah.
much extra time there is going to be, but you don't know exactly when it's going to end. So you have to just really you have to really stay vigilant, and you're kind of playing against the clock, but you also can't play against the clock, and you're exhausted, right? And in this case,
Yeah.
you're playing the high elevation, and but Dave, a treat for you being on the West Coast, you can actually watch these games. Like
Love
I
it.
just read about them the next morning because they were past my bedtime. I can't actually watch them, so I'm glad you got to take it in.
I love it, Andy. Like
Yeah,
the 3 hour time difference is really if you're a sports fan. I don't like it for
yeah,
many other things,
yeah,
but like the 3 hour time difference is like that's a game changer if you're a sports fan.
yeah,
Especially if you like football season, games start like if you're college, it starts at 9 o'clock. If
yeah.
pros start at 10 o'clock. I mean, woo, that's
Nice.
and you could be done by dinner time.
Yeah.
It's be crazy. So. All right, Andy, let's move on. Let's talk about the other weekend's big event. We had the 4th of July, Andy. So
Mhm.
how'd you celebrate your fourth this year?
Dave, I had a great 4th of July. I tried to really take it easy. I really wanted to. So I woke up in another, you mentioned one of our, regular listeners and commenters, Chris F., a friend, a fan, supporter, shared a race with me, the Firecracker 5K. And I went out there with my niece and Chris and some of his friends and ran it. Chris, you looked very sexy, topless. I'll just put that out there into the universe. And my niece and I ran the race together, and it was awesome. Like it was awesome to be out there with her. And what I love about 5K, Dave, like you and I both run the Army 10 miler and like bigger race events. And for those races, like people come in from all over. Like these are
Yeah.
big races. People come in from all over to do these things. When you do a 5K, like nobody's flying in for your local 5K. I mean, like these are your friends and neighbors that are running this race with you. And so, given the political environment that we're in today, especially here right outside the nation's capital, like it's just tense. This fourth, like we've talked about for several weeks, a 250th celebration, like it's just not as exciting as it should have been, could have been for America. But we went out there. It's 7:30. People are starting to muster. The national anthem is sung. People are dressed in red, white, and blue, sparkles and stars and stripes and tutus and headbands and socks, and like everybody's just having a great time celebrating America, right? So the national anthem kicks off. We're crossing the start line. Katy Perry and fireworks starting us off, and
Oh,
then
nice.
great, right? And then just friends and neighbors cheering each other on to have fun together. And it was just awesome. It was just awesome. And like I was like, how fun these local races are and the community coming together to celebrate. It was awesome. And then I got to conclude the day. I went to a friend's house a little bit west, Dave. You're familiar with the area, not all listeners are, but as you travel sort of west and south, you quickly get into a much more rural part of Virginia than the
Yeah.
northern Virginia portion. And we were in small town, Middletown, Virginia. Great local parade where everybody in the parade is like a friend and neighbor lives there, and you've got tractors, and you've got local bands, and you've got the beauty queen, and my dog snuck into the parade line and was trotting along behind the horses, not getting stomped and somehow invaded. So she was part of the parade too. And it was just awesome because it was such a local America celebration. It was great. Like, it was just great. And so I got there along with some, fellow veterans and just sort of take in the day and appreciate service and our nation. And man, it was awesome. So despite all the nonsense around us, a great fourth. How about you?
Yeah, I was good. I had the same takeaway, Andy. Despite all the nonsense, it was great to just see America celebrate itself, like all the wonders of it. And I heard some like really good. I listened to some podcasts about people talking about the impact of America,
Yeah.
good, and bad on a lot of different things. But I really did go back and like this country really is amazing. And again, also seeing like the parts of the country that I've never been exposed to before and just really understanding this is the beauty of America. This is all that it is and all the potential that we have so many diverse backgrounds and experiences. So we're in a small little town called DuPont, which is near a military base and out here in the Seattle area. And we just went to like this little like waterside area. They had just some pop-up tents, vendors and food and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. And everybody, people are wearing look, the Pacific Northwest, they have their own like style and so there's a lot of different it's unique and
Yeah.
I think it's just great to see that celebrate America and everybody who's out there. Happy Fourth, was a greeting and it's just that kind of stuff is really it made me proud to be an American and make me proud of all the things that we've done and can do, but also appreciating that we're not a perfect union. And I think that was just nice. So we did that and then I wrapped up the evening watching whatever happened in Washington, D.C., which was like, hey, look, the storms blew through that area, disrupted a lot of events. And what I was, and then we saw scenes of the harbor in New York and all the great fireworks that went off there in Chicago and Minneapolis and all the country cities around. And I looked at the fireworks in DC, at least the beginning, and I was like, this is great. I'm glad they blew up the city. Like it had all these fireworks because we should it's 200 fucking 50 years.
Yeah.
This isn't like I'm glad they went overboard on it. Now, apparently there was some like because there were so many fireworks, there was like you could barely see the ones at the end.
Yeah.
Especially on TV or video or whatever. But it is what it is. But and then Trump did his bullshit. It's 11 o'clock at night. I even texted you. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
did you see
Yeah.
this? Like, it's delayed, of course. And a normal person read the room would have been like, hey, look, I know it's late. Let's just get these fireworks started. We're
Yeah.
proud to be American. And he had a good opening part. Like I was like, okay, this is, this, but then he started weaving in communism and he started weaving his, I'm like, dude, fucking like just
Stay on script.
45 minutes of just rambling on. And I'm like, those people are fucking miserable. And of course, you get the exodus afterwards. The metro is slammed.
Oh
People are
yeah. Oh
fighting.
yeah.
It's just whatever. But classic Trump. Just read the fucking room, man.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. For sure. For sure. I just ignored all of that. Like I didn't want anything to
yeah.
do. I did see some pictures of DC, and I mean, it looked like a combat zone. Like pictures towards the end. Like I mean, it's like the sky is orange, smoke is everywhere. There's fire. It's like is this a celebration or is this the end? Like are we
Yeah.
is this so? But you're right. I mean, celebrate big, right? And as you think, I mean, as you look back at this massive milestone in our history, 250. You know, you look back to what the world was like at the start, and you think like, should we be able to keep democracy going, save the republic from the violence of this administration, and make it to the next 250? Like, what will America and the world look like at 500, right? And we
Yeah.
can't even imagine, right? Any more than George Washington could imagine what things would look like in 2026, right? So it's exciting. Like we're here in the middle of this wonderful story and timeline, and as crazy as things are, America is celebrating in towns and in cities around the country. People of the world are here for the celebration as they celebrate the World Cup and cheering on their teams and meeting Americans and enjoying all that America has to offer. Like hope is not lost, right? There were dark days at the end of episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, Dave. Like things did not look good, for the emerging rebellion, but they came back and it's a great story. And I feel like we still have that opportunity too, right? Han Solo might be frozen in carbonite, right? The Constitution might be frozen in carbonite right now. Like we have a chance to go in there and still recover and still do well. And I'm excited to be part of the next chapter. and the American redemption story that's coming. So it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, and maybe this is a conversation maybe for more deeper times, but I like how you wove in our two favorite things, America and Star Wars. That's
Got
well
to.
done,
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
but
Unplanned. Just
that
went. Just went.
that's the beauty of Andy Jabor. The Andy Jabor experience is you just get that come out, and it's just amazing. So, I will say one thing is, some of these retrospectives that I was like listening to about America it was interesting. Is many people will forget that leading up to World War II, America was very isolationist. I mean, they had a very isolationist focus. Yes, Roosevelt sailed the Navy around the world to make it show American strength. Yes, World War One happened, but after World War One, obviously we went back to an isolate. It took a lot to get us into World War II. Europe was begging us to come in. I mean, begging, relative term, you know what I mean, but they were asking repeatedly for us to come in and come in and come in. And it wasn't until Pearl Harbor that we did do that. And that was 2 years after Hitler invaded Poland. I mean, and so that's, we were very, and then since that time, since the end of World War II, we changed as a country. And some will say that's kind of like where did we start losing some of that? Was it, overthrowing governments in South America or even Iran? If you look at some of the challenges at Iran, it can go back to the US and UK's
Oh yeah.
intervention
Oh
in
yeah.
Iran
Oh yeah.
to overthrow the presidents there. And so you think about some of the things that we've done in our history, Vietnam. And for all the things that we've done good, like soft power, defeating communism or the Soviet Union and all that, there's also a lot of that ugliness that we need to reconcile. And so it will be interesting to see, and I'm excited for it too, Andy. I'm excited to see what happens in the next 250 years. Elon Musk will be able to tell us because he'll still be alive somehow through some frozen,
Yeah.
embryo. I don't know, whatever. He's like Emperor Palpatine. He's probably got 50 clones of himself already done that. But anyway, so
You,
all good
you had
times.
important ideas there, though, Dave. I mean, two thoughts in particular. Like one, I was recently redecorating my dining room, and I put three portraits up on the wall: George Washington, Abe Lincoln, and Winston Churchill, right? And then perpendicular to them is the Virginia Declaration of Rights and our Declaration of Independence. So they're all so significant. And Churchill joins these great Americans because you mentioned World War II. These are men that stood up to incredible adversity and led their countries, and in a broader sense, the world, right, to far greater things. And Churchill stood and held ground there, waiting for Roosevelt to join the fight, and finally got it, right? But his perseverance, I mean, it's an incredible story, a remarkable leader. Again, just like with all these political leaders, like say what you will about their politics, whether you liked them or didn't like them, and they had other issues. In the time, in the moment, they did what they needed to do. And Churchill was incredible, at that. It was phenomenal. But you also talk about, World War II did usher in the American empire, right? And imperialism and a lot of the chaos of the world is attributable back to the US and the European powers post World War II, carving up the Middle East, carving up Africa. And olive branch to MAGA, a lot of the frustration to include at one time Vice President J.D. Vance came out of reckless wars and imperialism. And a lot of Americans looking around saying, I don't know, I don't know that we're doing this right. Like
Yeah.
we should be prioritizing Americans and protecting our troops and using them much more sparingly. We don't need to be the world's policemen. We don't need to be invading other countries. We don't need to be promoting regime change. And there was, to me, a very relatable aspect of that part of the MAGA movement. Now, unfortunately, along with that came a lot of batshit crazy lunacy and conspiracy theories. Along with that came an embracement and celebration of Donald Trump above the Constitution of the United States of America, where a lot of those same supporters and defenders of America were willing to explore a king or a third term. So unfortunately, got very corrupted along the way to include, as part of the 4th of July celebration, masked white supremacists, the Patriot Front, showing up in the nation's capital, waving the Confederate flag, right? So there's unfortunately a very nasty side to it, but there is also some legitimate concern and gripes within the MAGA movement. And to Democrats who are finding every way they can to fuck up midterm elections and their hopes for 2028, releasing their Project 2029, like just completely going off the rails. Talk about leadership, not being able to appreciate the moment and opportunity they have. Don't dismiss everything MAGA. Don't dismiss everything Maha. Americans are there and listening to it and embracing it for a reason. Take the good and toss out the bullshit. Unite
Yeah.
this country. Don't fucking go the other way and just turn off Americans yet again. And look, if anybody can blow this fucking opportunity the Democrats have right now, do not count Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries out, man. Like these two guys can find a way to hand Republicans the House, the Senate, and the White House in 2028 because of their incompetence and inability, back to Donald Trump, to read the room. Like they do not do it well. And they could still fuck it all up, which is just an amazing testimony to the incompetence of the two-party system. But Dave, I'll stop there.
No, I think it's a very good point. Again, the America First movement, it was born out of that kind of stuff, and we're tired of this. And that's it's a very valid concern. Unfortunately, it was bastardized that we're not American First. We violated all those principles, and
Yeah.
and then Trump proclaiming, "I'm MAGA, you're not, and I can decide what I want." But the Maha movement's another good one. I mean, I do like again, make America healthy. We should align with what other countries around the world are doing, and we're not. Well, why? Because we've bowed to corporations, and again, it's no secret, cancer, rates amongst younger people are escalating,
Yeah.
increasing. We should ask why that is occurring, and we should be doing something about that. Andy, I mean, you've experienced that firsthand. I
Yeah.
mean, this is not something that's good and natural. So we should be asking ourselves why. But you're right. I think the Democrats, again, we were supposed to have a red wave in the midterms of Joe Biden, and then one thing changed, the Roe v. Wade overturn changed, and all of a sudden that didn't happen, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden we got Biden wanted to get reelected again. But I do find it very fascinating that they can fuck this up still, and
Yeah.
it's up to us to get out there and vote. It's up to make sure that it's not the other guy, it's not the bystander effect. Oh, everybody else will go out and vote and
Yeah.
everything will be good. No, you have a responsibility to get out and vote in those elections. So, all right, Andy. So, it's a pretty good start for a Monday.
It is a good
It's
start for Monday. Dave, we are in the second half of the year. We talked about this a little bit, I think, last week. Like, it's underway. So it's going to be, like, I hope we can all enjoy our summer. Hope you can enjoy your time out on the West Coast. July is going to come fast. August is going to move fast. Like, summer's a great time. I've got a lot of things I'm looking forward to this summer. But then very quickly, we're going to hit Labor Day. We're going to be in the midst of a very contentious election season. And this is an incredibly important time for America. So it's going to be interesting to see on the back end of the World Cup, on the back end of summer 2026. Let's see where we take this nation and where the world goes. Because man, it's going to be a wild ride. 2026. There's still a lot of 2026 to be written.
very good, very good. Andy, I will also say one last thing about this town I'm in here. I mentioned that city, that TV show on Apple TV, Widow's Bay, and
Yeah,
it's about like a small little now New England town, island, and there's a lot of creepy stuff that happens there.
yeah,
I'm in a very similar situation. We're not quite on an island, but we are a little bit separate, this little small little town. And I'm in this hotel, and one of the scenes in Widow's Bays involves a hotel. I have to say I was a little creeped out last night, wondering about clowns roaming through the hallways or anything like that. So,
well,
if you haven't checked out Widow's Bay, please do. You won't regret it. It's good.
all right,
So,
all right. Something to look forward to.
all right, we'll wrap up our Monday pod. Andy, I will be back on the East Coast on Wednesday. So until then, have a good one, and I'll catch up with you on Wednesday.